That is awesome and far too. Oh gosh, hold on. I was so good. I was really going to land this well.
And then,
and
this is Gaytriarchs. So I was laying in bed with my son. We were going to bed, and I've been feeling very wistful lately. So I was asking him,
really,
what do you think you're going to be like when you're 20? What do you think you're going to be like, And so I asked him. I said, you're going to be 7 in like 6 months.
Wow.
What do you think you're going to be like? He just thought for a second. As you could see, he was just like really mulling it over, and then he was like, I think I'm going to be charming, but in a little bit of an annoying way. I said, babe, you've just described your father.
That apple did not fall far from that tree.
Legitimately, he couldn't have described me more perfectly than charming, but in an annoying sort of way.
Oh,
so that was
funny.
a fun way to go to sleep.
Just the right amount of arrogance to push in there. But also, I don't know, good that he won't be annoying in a charming way.
What's better? I kind of feel like annoying in a charming way is better than charming in an annoying way.
Wow, I brought up a dilemma that I wasn't expecting to bring up.
What would you do?
I think, wow.
Starting the episode off strong with a really, really divisive topic.
And profound questions to really contemplate. Gosh, maybe you do want to be annoying in a charming way rather than charming in an annoying way. Because when you're charming in an annoying way, people literally are like, I'm tired of you. But if you're annoying in a charming way, they're like, he's annoying, but I love being around him. So
also, annoying in a charming way is a redemption story. And charming and an annoying way is like a villain origin story.
Yes.
Right?
Okay, well, don't be a villain. Don't be a villain.
Don't be a villain.
I don't know. See if he knows the nuance there. Check it back in with him and let us know how it goes.
But I was feeling weirdly like, you know how I'm hyper obsessed with older parents saying you're going to miss it, and then me thinking like, how am I going to transfer that?
Really?
The whole
really?
week,
I've never heard.
I've
never heard you talk about it before.
On the show. Every listener just fast forwarded 30 seconds. But I've been feeling really like weirdly nostalgic. I've been thinking about that really famous Office quote where Andy Bernard is saying like, I wish I knew I was in the good times when I was in them. And so I was thinking the other day, I was like, I think I know when I'm in the good times because I think now is the good times.
Mm-hmm.
I like my kids are at an age where they're really fun, but they're still young. Our life is very active. We have a lovely house. Like we're both mostly healthy. Externally, internally we're a mess. But I was thinking these are the good old days. Like these are the good old days now.
Oh
but
my
then
God!
But then I start. But wait. Let me get to my
point.
I know. But wait. Then I start thinking. Then I start getting sad and nostalgic
because it's all
about the time I'm currently in because I'm fast forwarding to the future where I'm going to miss this exact moment. So I spend the good times being sad about them eventually being over. And so I just waste I was just thinking, what are you doing, David? And so I kind of have been doing this crazy fucking thing lately. Yeah, go ahead, Gabe.
It is hilariously consistent, I think, of both of us. I'm going to put myself in this category too, going down that rabbit hole of obviously overthinking things. But when I think about mindfulness, taking it to a little woo-woo, it's kind of like the hallmark sentiments that you have to stop and think about and reflect on the moment. And even if you do get a little almost depressed about the present that you're in, at least you're being is that the definition of being present? So you don't walk around saying, where has the time gone? Where has the time gone? Where's the time gone? Because it would be so nice to not constantly think that life is passing you by and you blink and you've missed it,
I hate myself for even bringing this up because we're saying things like mindfulness and being present. Like I feel like I'm at some sort of like women's retreat in like Santa Fe.
But they are right.
I know
those retreats.
But that's the thing. I know. But here's what has helped me lately is because I find myself in this like circle where I'm literally laying in bed with my beautiful 6-year-old son talking about space and swimming in the Mars oceans or whatever we're doing. And so what I've been doing is when I'm starting to feel that way, I literally say out loud, these are the good old days. Or I'll say to him, man, these are the best times. Or I'd say something. And of course, my kids look at me like, what are you talking about? We're talking about Smurfs. But it has really helped me because I have these moments of just like saying it out loud and let it just like wash over me. So then in the future, I can recall that moment and be like, you let it in. You totally let it in, and you were living truthfully. You were living in the moment. So anyway, I'm a crazy person. This is a surprise to nobody, and this has been very helpful for me not to ruin the good old days by being sad that they're going to be over someday in the future.
I mean, it's really hard to counter the natural cynicism for sure. But I know that this has been you probably being your most vulnerable on Gaytriarchs and sincere, I might add. But I like this unsolicited advice that will definitely be added to our website in 6 years. By the way, everybody, our website does have an unsolicited advice page that needs to be completely redesigned. So please don't look at it right now. But
what's the URL of that webpage?
Of the entire website of www.Gaytriarchs.com. We got it. We are that old.
http:// World Wide Web. Yes. Gaytriarchs, or is it GaytriarchsPodcast?
No, it's Gaytriarchs.
Gaytriarchs.com. We own the fucking word, Hollywood.
Yes, we do. Thank you very much, David's husband, for coming up with the idea for us because we weren't creative enough to do it. And ChatGPT didn't exist when we started this.
That's true. That's true.
Speaking of absolutely nothing, my kids have started getting in cars with other people. And let me tell you.
Windowless vans?
When that is a moment, a mile marker in your life of being like, oh my God, my daughter just drove off with a high school kid. And it is
like kids.
Terrifying.
Like 17-year-olds driving other children.
Driving my child.
Oh my God.
And it happened actually a few weeks ago. And I mean, but let me tell you, it's this rite of passage that you think, I mean, I almost threw up when it first happened, especially because I don't know the girl. I don't know her children, or excuse me, her parents. But then you realize, wait a minute, we're talking high school anymore. Like you don't have to know the other parents to think that you can't control it anymore, right? I mean, sure, we can be like, no, you're forbidden from doing it. Now, listen, luckily, we definitely, first of all, she drives a Subaru. So.
Okay. Got it. All right. So
there's
lesbian.
That.
Yeah. Queer coded. Very queer coded. But also there's something about a Subaru that says to me, you voted for Kamala. You know what I mean? Like
safety and responsibility.
Totally.
Yes, this is
100%.
My daughter is not getting into a car with somebody who drives a convertible Mercedes or frankly, even
an Acura. Like if somebody popped up in an Acura, I'm like, show me who you voted for, you know?
Are Acuras coding for Republicans? Do you think?
But the poor ones. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, but that fills me with such terror because you and I are both control freaks, and just to because I remember when my friend drove my son off for like babysitting at her house. He was like 2 months old. I remember watching the car drive away and just being like, okay, this is where a bomb falls on the car. This is where she rolls over, and my son's head is just going to roll down the street.
Yes,
and you're probably seeing the same things when she gets whisked.
100%. Yep. Now it's happened enough times that I know it brings her so much joy and independence that usually they go to Starbucks before they're in a club together. And I know it's almost like I'm reliving that sense of independence that I loved as a kid too. I get it. And
it feels so good. You feel so adult. You feel so dangerous. And
yes, all the things. But I know that she's getting much more interested in driving. I mean, mind you, she is still 14. Anyway, that is terrifying. And then my son this weekend went skiing with some friends. And because I'm such a control freak, I've always been the driver when we go skiing. And when I'm always the one taking extra kids with me because my son and I are skiers together. Anyway, he went with somebody else. And I was on absolute tenterhooks that nobody was giving me hourly updates and photos and current status and look at this. And it was very tough for me to just chill out and not think about the fact that he is completely out of my control right now. And what if he's completely out of control? Period. He came back in one piece and it was all fine. But it is so, just you wait, David, just you wait. It all gets worse.
This is one I believe. This is one that when you wait me, I actually believe and I take heed your warning, because the little things like my son being like, please, can I run across the parking lot by myself? And I go, okay, just look for cars. It fills me with such fucking terror. The fact that I would let my daughter get in a car with, by the way, I knew what I was doing at 17. I was high and doing donuts in the parking lot.
Yes, you were.
Why?
Yes, you were.
We could have rolled
double
easily.
Standards. And I don't remember arguing with my mom I'm sure there were arguments at some point with me her saying like, who are you going with? Are they good drivers, et cetera, et cetera. And I just would have rolled my eyes and been like, yes, of course, Mom, leave me alone.
Yes.
But I don't actually remember it. And probably because it was another time. It was 1951. And so, of course, I don't know. It was when America was great. And you didn't worry about it,
But also, there's so many things in my head. It's just like allowing your kid to just go off with somebody who is probably easily distracted, but also you're like, you have to let go and let God, but also you're like, I need to protect these children, but also you're like part of protecting them and letting them, like you just the ping ponging back and forth. I remember, I will never forget as long as I live, I was doing all my driver's education where you get your permit and so you can drive, but only with another adult in the car. We did that for a while. And then when I finally got my full license and my mom was like, you get to drive yourself to school today. It was the first time she whatever. And I went and I came home and she was like, how's your day? I was like, great. I was like, how was it? Was it crazy watching me drive off? She goes, as soon as you drove off, I walked to the park. I sat down on a bench and I cried for an hour. And I remember thinking at the time, you crazy fucking bitch. You psychopath. Relax. I am a great driver. I was in my 1996 Nissan Altima. Yes, and I was like, what are you talking about? Now I get it.
Oh, yeah.
Now I fucking get it.
May we all live to see the day that our children say to us, how did you do it? And thank you for getting me here. Because to have that gratification, Mom, if you're out there listening as listener, David does it. He gets it now. He gets it. You're a success as a parent.
I think she stopped listening to the podcast, and I don't know why. That's so. If I'm being totally honest, I don't know why she stopped listening to the podcast.
So that's why you can call her a crazy fucking bitch from back in the day.
Yeah, exactly. But let me be a little more helpful than I was just helpful.
Okay,
I have a dad hack of the week this week, and where do you think it comes from? One of two places. It only comes from one of two places.
Estonia?
No.
The intrawebs.
TikTok or my husband. Those are the only two places I get good parenting information.
Okay, great.
So this one I believe is from both. My husband saw it on TikTok, but he was saying, this video was saying like, if you have a kid who's a tattletale, which by the way, both of my kids are fucking tattletales. Every 5 goddamn seconds, one of them's walking up to me and saying, Emmett took my pen, and that whiny bitchy voice, right? So the TikTok video was saying, when your kid comes up to you and tattles on somebody for something, your response is, do you need my help or are you trying to get someone in trouble? And it just pushes them into a box. And you're like, choose the red or the green button, babe. Show me what it is. Because if you make them say, do you need my help? They're like, I don't really need help. And then if you make them say the thing that's actually happening, which is I'm trying to get someone in trouble, they maybe feel embarrassed. So then they'll usually go, and then they wander away. So that has been really fun. It's really just
that's a good one. Have you used it yet?
Oh, I use it every single day. Because
your kids are total tattletales. Got it.
They're total tattletales.
And how have they responded though?
They literally freeze because you literally they look at the two options. They're like, oh, both of these options are pretty shitty. And then they just kind of melt away. It's been fantastic. It doesn't stop the whining and the tattletaling, but it certainly gets, because I don't want to have to, it's like, hey, Emmett took my bear. Now I have to go in. I got to do some recon. I got to do some detective work. Whose bear is it? Who is in the wrong? I've got to judge. I don't want to do any of that. I want you either to work it out or don't come to me. And so this has been helpful to like, I don't have to go in and start saying, hey, give her the bear. And then she cries and now she's mad at me because it's the whole thing.
The he said, she said is very, very, very difficult to navigate. So this is a great way of skipping over that. That's awesome.
Yeah. Gaslight your children.
You know what else is awesome?
What?
Not the news of the week.
It's shocking.
As you might know, the entire world is a dumpster fire and there is no good news. But I dug very, very deep to find something to give us hope. Some celebrities, our favorite topic, some celebrities have come together to support LGBTQ plus filmmakers, the emerging filmmakers. And those celebrities are Alan Cumming and Bowen Yang and Lena Waithe, all, frankly, awesome people that I wouldn't mind my daughter driving off in a car with. Actually, maybe not Alan Cumming. Love him, but I don't want him behind the wheel. But anyway, those three folks have come together to start a new foundation called the Necessary Foundation, because ain't it necessary to give some support to your people? And they're, helping emerging filmmakers. So some good news of the week.
Yeah.
But what's even better news of the week?
I've already clicked the link. And
I am so excited about our DILF of the week.
Yeah.
So I'm super stoked that Pedro Sanchez, he is our DILF of the week, not because he is an incredible world leader and eloquent and stands up for the right amount of masculinity, frankly, but because he is hot.
He's very hot. And he's also very, getting to know you over these 3 years of doing the show. I've realized what your type is. This is a poster child for your type. He's like this dad type, but this kind of Air Force dad type, right? Right? Square jaw, conservative haircut. He would have sex with you with his suit on. Do you know what I mean? Wait, did you ever watch that porn? It's called Men at Play or Men at Work. Which was it? The one where they only had sex in suits? Every scene they were in full suits.
I don't think I've seen that specific one.
Oh my God, it was so hot. But this guy would fit in perfectly with that. Yeah, no, he is very hot and very Gaben hot. But also he's very David hot, which means he has a pulse. But you know what doesn't have a pulse and is not hot?
What?
Our top 3 list.
Gaytriarchs top 3 list. 3, 2, 1.
All right, I think this is my list. I am a child of the 90s. I love the 90s, and I really loved 90s sitcoms. I feel like 90s sitcoms raised me in a way that I don't know what much more did, because I watched a lot of TV in the 90s as a kid, and I feel like I watched these shows and these characters I didn't really see as characters. I saw them as friends of mine. So yes. So, and now as usual with our top 3 lists, it's how are we ranking these? Are we doing it by most viewed, the ones most personal to you?
Don't overthink it.
I'm not going to overthink it. I think my top 3 list is the top 3 ones that I loved the most. And I will argue are maybe the biggest juggernauts of television of the 90s. So at number 3, even though technically the first season was 1989, The Simpsons.
Yeah.
The Simpsons is a cultural phenomenon, but in the 90s, man, I had Bart Simpson t-shirts. I have all the time. But also, it's a great show. And number 2, this will surprise no one who knows me. And again, it started in 1988, but really heyday in the 90s. Roseanne. Yes. Roseanne, she's insane now, whatever.
Right.
She's insane now, but that show meant a lot to me mostly because it was the first time I feel like I saw a family that kind of looked like mine, and it felt really great. And number 1, I don't think you can argue this. This was the number 1 sitcom of the 90s, Friends.
Yeah,
it was my number 1 too. It was massive. And listen, I realized that I left off Living Single, which was the closest 4th I could ever get. But those are my top 3 lists. What is yours?
Well, my number 1 already is Friends, because it was that juggernaut moment where they were not old, but they were older than I was, and they were older in the way that I cannot wait to grow up to be friends. And
cool,
so
older. Yeah.
In high school, because I was already in high school then. Friends towards the end of high school and college in particular, because it was a real bonding experience also for all of us.
Because they were early to mid 20s, living their lives in New York City.
Yes.
There's nothing sexier than that.
Fabulously in New York City as supposedly young and poor, but let's be real about that. So number 3 for me was not a show that I was completely obsessed with, but what encapsulates the era for me is the Wonder Years.
Oh,
it was an kind of
which is ironic because it was a nostalgic piece about the 60s and 70s, but it was huge in the 90s.
It rewrote how you do sitcom. Is it a sitcom? Is it not? Is it a dramedy? Is it not? Etc. It was very artsy for me, and it showed me that you can have a comedy in a completely different style. Now this is super nerdy, but it did come up for me. Number 2 was Murphy Brown.
Oh, yeah.
Because it reminded me of my grandmother so much, because she was Murphy Brown. So I was watching I would watch the show occasionally. I didn't actually watch that much TV in the 90s. I have to admit, I was, frankly, if we talk about 80s sitcoms, I probably watched more of those, frankly. But Murphy Brown was just a show that reminded me about badass women, and that was my grandmother. So shout out to Nadine Lodge and Murphy
Good old
Brown.
Nadine.
Oh, Nadine. Isn't that a great name?
That's a great name.
Okay. So next week, let's talk about your top 3 best wars.
Oh, what a great category. Top 3 wars. Oh, that's Gavin, that might be your best idea yet. Yes. And it looked like you almost had it ready to go. Was that true? Or did you just make it up?
Do you want to look at it on my little on my sheet? It says best wars right there.
Wow.
Right
Good
there.
for you, babe.
So, David, our next guest is, per usual, a tour de force. And just like that pretentious moniker, includes lots of hyphens. She is an actor, singer, producer, TV host, mom, posse leader, classroom volunteer, though only on her own terms. She's a hospital volunteer, a fundraiser, and overall mom, leaning in and getting shit done. Welcome to the incomparable Becky Lythgoe. Hey, Becky.
Hi, Becky.
Hello. I'm so happy to be here with my daddies.
Yeah. Hey, you are an honorary gaytriarch and gay daddy if you want to be.
I mean, I think we're all gay after watching Heated Rivalry, right?
Oh my God, yes. We are all a little bit gayer from having watched that show.
I did see a meme recently that said, I need a new sexual orientation label for after having seen Heated Rivalry. That was from a woman. And hey, yeah, why not? But Becky, how have your kids driven you bananas already today?
Well, today, listen, I tried to have a little autonomy at 3 a.m. to watch this blood orange moon that was coming out.
Oh, yeah.
And immediately, of course, like radar, my kid can sense I'm awake and come straggling in and is like, come lay with me, come lay with me, come lay. And listen, this is like a bad habit that I sort of reinitiated. I feel like he had maybe like the pandemic, he had a flu and I was like, oh my God, he's got COVID. I got to be right next to him. And we've never, ever gone back to sleeping through the night since. So literally starting at 3 a.m., he started to drive me bananas. And then, and then there's a whole, I'm sure you guys all have this because you have kids old enough, there's that. Honest to God, I'm going to swear right away, but what the fuck did we used to do before kids in the morning? I feel like we must have had so much time, but now it's like our brain. Are your brains like in the list mode constantly? Like in the morning?
We say it all the time. Like it's the same with having 2 kids where when you have your second kid, you're like, oh my God, I didn't realize how much time I had with just having 1 kid. Mm-hmm. It's the same with like before you had a kid. Like I had these people, I have friends who don't have kids and they're like, oh, so busy today. I was like, no, you fucking weren't. You have no idea how much time you had. You watched 3 hours of television. I am lucky to get through 35 minutes of Survivor before I'm passed the fuck out. You have no idea how much time. We had so much time. We used to wake up when our bodies woke us up. Remember that?
Oh my gosh. Oh, I remember that. That was heaven. I don't think I've done that, obviously, in 11 years. I mean, it's insane. And I have an early waker. So generally he's up at 6:37, even on the weekends. And I keep being like, dude, this is when you're supposed to sleep in. Like, this is the 8 or 9, 10, 11, like go for it. And he just will not. But just even this morning, I feel like you wake up and you have to stay on autopilot and be like, okay, lunch, water, breakfast, shoes, throw down the socks before you have to go back upstairs to get the socks and like preempt everything. And it's a challenge. And what I was going with before is that just to keep them away from the phones and any like devices in the morning, because that's like a 10-minute addition.
For sure. For sure.
Oh, it's so hard to keep them away from that because it's all they want to do, right? They wake up and they're just like, oh, I could use a screen right now. And you're like, absolutely not. But I have to say like a point of order for all of our listener. I have known Becky for quite a while. Yes. And it's funny because Gavin, Gavin literally was like, "Oh, I'm going to do a pre-interview with we were talking about guests coming up." He's like, "This woman Becky Lythgoe." I was like, "What are you talking about, Becky Lythgoe? Like, did you go
She's
through
my
my
friend.
phone?"
She's
but it was just so funny. I was like, "What are you talking about?" Like, I was like, "You mean you went through my phone?" So Becky, you and I worked when you were putting on your producer hat, where I was an actor in one of your shows and I directed some of your shows. But you, like Gavin said in your intro, you are 100 different things. And I am also multi-hyphenate. And what I want to ask you is, if you had to sit by yourself and you're like, you have to choose one, you are one thing at the core of who you are. Who are you, Becky?
Thank you, David, for existential angst for the rest of the
but I mean, like, I feel like all of us who are multi-hyphenates, if we had to, like, a gun to our head, like, I really wish I was just doing this all the time. What is that thing?
Oh, I mean, I will say it's still performing annoyingly.
Yeah.
And I feel like when I was with you, David, which now that we're reconnected, please let's collaborate and do things again together.
Yes.
But I think I got pregnant during Princess and Pirates at Center Theater Group at Kirk Douglas. So not even I think, I know. I was pregnant with Leo during that process. But yeah, I did Hairspray last year. Marissa Jarrett Winokur directed it, who won the Tony for Hairspray. And I have to say that was the first time I felt again like A, I was really in my element, and B, I was balanced as a parent. Now, my husband will say, fuck you, that's not true. I had to hold down the fort. And you were totally a selfish bitch and MIA. But that's really my problem. And that's really my problem that I'm trying to learn to balance. And I know we'll talk about later, or I'm sure we all are thinking about how, what are our goals and manifesting in the future and things. But it's really that balance of life as a performer in particular, or I guess, anything that involves a lot of discipline where you're like, I got to work out in the morning. I can't skip it. I've got to vocalize. I've got to steam. And those kind of things where they feel selfish, but they're actually tools of the trade, I found I really have struggled with as a parent to keep as a priority. Whereas producing or directing or some of the other hats I wear don't require as much discipline. Well, that's not really the word. They don't require as much effort outside of the time you're actually working on the project. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, we say on the show all the time, and I think what you're alluding to is that in order for you to be a good parent, you have to feed that other side of you. Because if you just, quote unquote, unselfishly give all of yourself to Leo and your kids and everything, you are not giving them the best version of you. You are giving this empty shell version of you. But if you feed your acting or self-pleasures, even if it's just like, I like to go bowling with my friends, I think that is so good for you as a parent, because then you can come to parenting with a little more fuller self than we all know those parents who are, oh, my whole life is my kids. And you're like, you're
an empty
you're
shell.
A shell of your former self, and you're giving nothing to your children. Yeah.
A shell. And I won't name names, but I have some friends. They're going to listen to this and be like,
we know a lot of shells. Yeah, we know a lot of shells.
Well, but empty shells are definitely welcome to listen to Gaytriarchs, so please do spread that word. That's
for
fine.
Sure.
I'm curious, as we talk about what set you up for potentially being an empty shell, which you have avoided, obviously, is your parenting. Can you tell us about Leo, your son? What's his story these days? And also tell us about his birth.
Yes. Okay. So I and just to sort of backtrack a little bit, I became a step parent in 2010, basically. Or I guess when we got married in 2013, of course. But George is my older son, who's 18, who was Chris's son prior to me meeting him. And so I came into his life around 3.5. But he was raised mainly in the UK with his mom. So I got to have like a little taste of parenting, and we moved there when they moved there to kind of settle him in. So I started to understand the idea, but I feel like step parenting can be different, like, because I am not the primary. Some step parents are. But, I started to learn self-sacrifice a little bit there. But with Leo, the world and the universe really demanded, like, okay, you need to pause and put yourself on hold to really have this human being in the world, because Leo had a bit of a traumatizing beginning to the world. But he, in utero, We had like a perfect pregnancy. And then at 36 weeks, we went in just to see if he was turned down. And they discovered that probably a blood vessel had burst in his brain, and it looked like it was filled with blood and fluid. It was horrible. And we did all these scans and things and tests throughout the day. And at the end of the day, a radiologist even called us and said that in California, if you're not in labor, you can still terminate, and that they recommended we do because they really felt like he would be in a vegetative state. And even if he wasn't, he would probably never walk or talk. And that was what we would probably be looking at.
That is absolutely terrifying to have that moment and think I've gotten to this point and everything's been perfectly fine. I think that's an unimaginable level of stress and not what you signed up for, right?
Not at all. And my friend, because you've got to find humor in things. My friend was like, remember that day you skipped our birthing class about like C-sections or emergencies? Because you were like, that shit's not going to happen to me. My birth plan was like, I want everything natural in a bathtub. And
sure.
It did not happen, as the universe does. But yeah, it was horrific, Gavin. It was really, really traumatizing. But I have to say, I have never in my life felt more sure, and I can be a little bit of an indecisive person. And I was so decisive. I was like, fuck you. Like, let's just roll the dice and let's go get a C-section and get this little boy out and see what we're dealing with and help him.
Yeah.
And so, within hours we were at the hospital and got him out. And and then
it was that day. It was that quick within one day.
Yes.
Whew.
Wow.
Yes. We were like, let's not chat. Let's just get, and to be honest, the neurosurgeon said, I see where she's coming from, but it is more of a 50-50. We need to get him out and see what we're dealing with. So he was at least supportive of us, doing it. It wasn't all gloom and doom. There was one hope of maybe it being different, and it was. So, he came out, his APGAR test, everything was great. He had it immediately that day, brain surgery.
Wow.
And then we went through, almost losing him then because he lost blood. And I was basically chained to the hospital for about 2 months. And minus a couple times my friends pulling me out or, just going home to sleep and my husband coming over and taking duty. But because I was breastfeeding, I was also like there pumping, and I was there you're at the side because you're like, I'm not leaving this kid. And it was, but 2 brain surgeries later, 2 hospitals later, we were home, and he's walking, talking, singing national anthems at like LA Kings walks, and he's doing great.
Wow. That's amazing. Gosh.
So parenting hit me over the face.
I mean, I guess it's a good way to kind of like, because I think a lot of people come into parenting with this idea of like, oh, this is going to be easy. It's going to be wonderful. It's going to be kisses and hugs and Instagram photo shoots. And then they are met with the cold realities of parenting. But you got to have the cold realities of parenting right away. So you never got to like be like, oh, this is so easy. No big deal. He's like, you know what? He's going to make us work for this.
Yes, it was absolutely so much work. And it was also, I did in that time period, obviously had to give up everything. Like Chris took over all the productions. We were in the middle of shooting a Nickelodeon show. He went and did that. And only because, not to be, and I'm like the most like down with patriarchy. But I had to at that point because I was breastfeeding, and it was my only thing I felt like I could do to maybe build up his immunity a little bit with all the surgeries and things that he was doing. And if I couldn't have, I would have probably bought breast milk just during that time. But anyway, and that was tough. However, because I had been a stepmom, I always am so grateful to the universe that I had that first. I saw already George was going on 9 when Leo was born. And I already saw how it was shifting. Not at that point, more like 13, 14, where I was like, oh, I better keep my identity because these kids move on to their own lives and their friends and their life. And, I saw that with George. I saw it with my nieces and nephews. So as soon as I was out of trauma and out of, we all went through the sleepless nights and I also, nobody knows what you've been through. nobody knows the trauma you've been through. So you have to like, as soon as you can, get through it and join the normal world of like, listen, we're all looking to see if our kids are breathing. Yeah. We're all looking to see if like they ate enough, you know? So I had to get back on the like, I'm having a normal experience.
And you're the one, I mean, normal is just a setting on the washing machine anyway, but you are totally right. You just got to get back on that. In fact, you said something to me earlier when we were chatting about a quote you had, I don't have it written down in front of me, which was, you have to kind of decide how and if you're going to lean in as the support or how often you're just going to toss them into the deep end and make them figure out how to swim.
Oh, yes. I mean, this is a big thing that from the get-go, I believed in because Leo is, and I love that I'm stealing your normal as a cycle on the washing machine. Because Leo, the fancy word they like to use is atypical. But because he has some differences, I really from the get-go was like, well, are we going to coddle this? Are we going to like, of course, we've done the PT, the OT, the speech therapies. I mean, we could do a whole separate podcast about like how to advocate for your kid and what kind of things to do. But I quickly realized like, do we lean into that and put them in like cotton wool and say, well, here's your limitation. You know, this is what you're capable of doing. And therefore I don't want you to have to fail, or throw them in the deep end and, you know, let him try to live up to what the other kids are doing. I feel like kids or humans are natural mimics to begin with at whatever level they can do.
Totally.
And I just kept watching him like mimic the kids around him. And if they were kind of, you know, having a little lesser experience or like more coddled experience, he would go rise to that level. But then I saw before he could even walk and kids were running around him, he would like try to pull himself faster. And so I, from the beginning said, I'm going to always put him in a neuronormal school and just like let him sink if he has to, but then give him the resources to, you know, not make him feel too awkward. That's been my MO from the beginning.
That is such a reoccurring theme on our show, and we talk about it all the time, and we still feel like we struggle with it, which is where how many times, like when do you let your kid thrash in the water and when do you pull them to the shore? And it never feels like you choose the right thing, because we all know we want them to learn how to be self-sufficient, but not ignore them, but also traumatize them just enough to be funny.
Yes. That is key. That is absolutely key. Yeah. Agreed. Totally agree.
And so now Leo is, like all of us, he probably needs to make some adjustments and you have to step in when you can. But the fact is, he is living a normal life just like any other normal kid, right?
That's right. And, you know, I always take with me, one of the neurosurgeons said, you know, can you predict, like, at that point, I was like, will he walk and talk? You know, what will happen? And he was like, you know what? He's probably going to have quirks just like you and me. Yeah. And it's, you know, his quirks are going to be whatever they are, but like, don't we have those? And so it's just a matter of like how you set him up also. He is totally like living his best life. He is got tons of friends. He's active in, you know, choirs and gymnastics and dance and whatever he wants to be a part of. And at the same time, I also am leaning into, and I feel like we all try to do this, if you can find the circles that they fit in. I mean, listen, David and I, obviously as performers, you find those crazy communities and you're like, oh, I'm good. I got my people. And I've just kind of been leaning into like, he has a great voice. So I keep surrounding him with artists and with musicians. And it's like, well, in that world, you can have a million quirks and nobody knows the difference.
It'll get you a job at some point.
Oh, yeah, exactly. It'll get you a job. Yes, it's a refuge. So one of the things so we met in a world that I want to move on to and talk to, because I think it's really a great thing for parents, which is initially you guys came to see a show I had directed, and then we were like, wait, why don't we know each other? And I knew your husband's brother from diving or whatever, but then I got to perform in one of your shows, and then I got to direct one of them. And I think it's really important that I want you to talk to our audience about what a panto is, because you guys have been bringing British panto to the United States. And I think Americans, I see you guys trying to constantly educate Americans about what this is. And it's such a cool thing for kids, but so many people don't know what it is. So can you please tell us, what are pantos and a little bit about the Lythgoe family productions?
Sure. So pantos are a British tradition that have been going on for like over 200 years in England. And it essentially is like they're Christmas Carol in the sense that every single theater, every community theater in every little village, and then all the big theaters in West End, or at least one in the West End, will do a panto every year. Back when it started, it began in villages where they couldn't afford to give Christmas presents or holiday presents to the kids. So like the local candlestick maker and baker and seams, dressmaker would get together and put on these shows, and they would always be set to fairy tales that the kids knew and loved already. And then whatever the music of the time that was popular, it would be set to. And so go fast forward to today. And again, there's still fairy tales that everybody knows and loves: Snow White, Rapunzel, Sleeping Beauty, Peter Pan, etc. And then there's modern music. So it's, Snow White singing Lady Gaga or Billie Eilish, or Peter Pan singing Bruno Mars. So essentially, what began as a holiday gift to the local kids is now the most amazing vehicle for not only bringing new young audiences into the theater in a palatable way so that they can digest live theater because it's fairy tales and music they know and love and can be dancing in the aisles, but also nobody is asked to sit on their bums in the seats and be quiet. They boo the bad guys, they cheer the good guys, and also the people on the stage will talk back to the audience like Rocky Horror Show. So if a kid is like crying in the middle of a love song, the prince will be like, "Imagine how I feel having to kiss her," or whatever. So it's all good fun. It's
because
raucous.
I'm gay.
because I am a flaming homosexual. But I really do. What you're describing, I think, is exactly why I think it's such a great intro for kids in theater, because like kids are told to shut up, be quiet, stare directly at the proscenium, and just think with your, instead of these things where you're, like you said, they're throwing stuff that it's breaking the fourth wall. The lights are coming on. It is such a safe space for creative for live theater, but also, if I'm being Pollyanna, it is to me what is the antidote for AI and social media, where I think people are all feeling a little unsatisfied, is getting back into a room with other human beings experiencing something together, which is very woo-woo of saying we get to scream at the bad guy. But it is a great thing. It is just not an American tradition. And you guys have been working so hard, and you guys have multiple productions around the country and world every year, which is so amazing.
It's really, really, if you talk to Judi Dench or Ian McKellen, like everybody will say this is how they came to love theater. Panto, every kid 102, they are brought to the Panto every single year, and they know the interaction. So in England, you really get to know what you're supposed to say back. And now we've got, especially back when we were in Pasadena or in Laguna, where we've been for decades now, they know what to say back to each moment. Like, it's behind you, or, oh yeah, yes, it is. Oh, no, it's not. And the other thing is, besides bringing in new young audiences, it's a form of theater, that's affordable because it's not like Christmas or not, or like, I'm trying to think like, The Grinch Who Stole Christmas, which will come to the Pantages, and no offense, will be like $200 a ticket.
Yeah.
We do family pricing, so it's like $120 for 5 people. And also it's enjoyable for like the grandparents, the parents, and the kids, because it's material they can digest, but then there's jokes in there. Like in Cinderella, the stepsisters are played by boys. And so the stepsisters will say things like the page will come in and say, the prince is giving a ball. And the stepsister will say, oh, but I wanted all of them. So there's like these innuendos and double entendres going on. Yeah.
And there's drag queens. That's the other thing. There's drag in Panto. People don't forget there's always a drag character.
Why is that? It's just the tradition that there's always drag, and it's based on the term pantomime, right? Like, I don't understand. The whole history is so fascinating.
So the pantomime in England is more of a gregarious body nature, and it's not this kind of pantomime like we've taken it. It's and also kind of based in commedia dell'arte, where there's stock characters.
Yeah,
so
melodrama.
That is what pantomime. Correct. That's what pantomime means over there, and going back to like when this was created, and it's like early Shakespearean times, right? The men played all the women roles because women couldn't. So a lot of that stuck. And then of course it's, been flipped on its head where like in most pantos over there, you'll never have Peter Pan played by a boy. It's played by a girl. So there's all these amazing.
I also love how like different words mean different things. Like you were saying, like panto, it's the same word, but like it means a little different something. I remember, I will never forget, as long as I've told the story the other day, I was doing a show that was based out of the UK. It was called Spirit of the Dance. It was like a Irish step dance show. I was one of 2 Americans in the company. And I was telling a story about going to the theme parks as a kid and wearing a fanny pack. And a fanny pack for Americans is the little zippered pouch that you clip to your waistband. Yes. And when I said I had my fanny pack, the gasp from this company of people from the UK. And I was like, what are you talking about? They're like, what did you call it? I said, it's a fanny pack. And they were like, their eyes were so wide. And I was like, why? Because fanny means pussy here in the UK. And I was like, oh my God. But like, so let's make sure the terms are correct when we're talking about things.
Yes, I totally agree. That's been one of my favorite things about being married to a Brit is not understanding him half of the time and then learning those things.
And so were you already familiar with pantos before you got married? Or did pantos bring you marriage, or did marriage bring you pantos?
Very good question, Gavin. So twofold. I studied at University of Michigan and did musical theater there. And then I took a semester abroad and studied at Royal Academy of Dramatic Arts. So while I was over there, I happened to be there during the holiday season, and I saw a lot of pantos. I saw 3 pantos. And I found that like a lot of the up and coming actors, like a lot of the working career waiters, were also doing these pantos at the Christmas time, because it was like a steady gig and it was something that every local theater would employ tons of people, right? So I fell in love with it. Then I thought, this is so ridiculous and so bawdy and so over the top. And then I met Chris on a business meeting, and he ended up selling a show with me attached as a host. So we went out, I think like our first, I won't say it was a date, but our first like official big meeting to like celebrate. We started talking about our love for theater, and then our love for like, wouldn't it be crazy and amazing to bring over panto and give them, because at the time George was 3 and he said, I'm spending a fortune taking him to like the Pantasia shows, to bring panto over and make it, family affordable theater, get kids back into the theater. And I was like, oh, it'll never work. It's too bawdy. It's too crazy. But if you call my lawyer and cut me in for 50%, I could help you get like, I know Sheldon Epps at Pasadena Playhouse, and I bet my friend Neil Patrick Harris would play like the Magic Mirror. So like, genius. Cut me in, and why don't we start a company? So really, I always say we did have our lawyers meet before we kissed or fucked.
Listen, that's a smart modern day woman right there. She's like, before your lips touch mine, I want to see it in writing.
That gives prenup a new meaning for sure.
Yeah.
So what is something
totally.
What's on the manifestation list for the next couple of years then of whatever Lythgoe family productions may be?
Yes. So as David said, we were, before the pandemic, we were across the country. But I also will say that was also when Leo was of an age that was super easy. I mean, as we all know, people bitch and moan about taking their young kids on airplanes, but you're like, like this is actually, although harder, like, carrying the diaper bags and carrying everything and doing everything, you also have like freedom of schedule because they're not like out with friends or in a million classes and you're not a chauffeur. So, back in the day when we were across the country, as David said, at one point in 2018, 2019, we were in North Carolina, Nashville, Houston, San Diego, Salt Lake
I remember
City,
that year.
Wow.
Pasadena. Yeah. And it was easy to be like, Leo just sat in the car, with me and drove wherever I had to drive, or threw him in the airplane with me. And so it was easier. So we were all over the place before the pandemic. So since the pandemic, we've really been just at our mainstay, which was Laguna Playhouse. We're now in our 10th year going on. And we've added 2 years ago, Thousand Oaks, Bank of America out there. And we're talking to La Mirada to maybe add a week there to then make Thousand Oaks a little bit more viable because that's a smaller theater. And so anyway, during the pandemic, Chris took a Warner Brothers job and started doing some more television. I doubled down a little bit on getting Leo a little more situated because I had to start tutoring him during that time. But now our goals, we're like back full force.
Oh, good.
And our goals is really to build it up again. So we're re-looking at theaters. We're re-looking at new opportunities, maybe some online content with it. To just get it back out there. And as David said, as much as we can, make this, we would love nothing more if more theaters would just sort of like take the concept and do it themselves, or license our shows and do it themselves. Like, it's such a great vehicle to bring theaters in. And honestly, like places like Laguna make so much money to help fund their season. So if people realized that like these are money makers because they're so
money makers, but also from the point of view, listen, I've performed in these pantos, I've directed them, and I have brought my children to them. And one of the things that is so great is that there are so many things as a parent that like there's shows that I want to take my kids to, because listen, we all are a bunch of musical theater queens. We want to have our kids love musical theater as much as we do, but it is so expensive. And also there's just not a lot of stuff out there. I remember there's a regional theater by me who was doing Little Mermaid, and I was like, oh, we should take our kids, it'd be really fun. It was so expensive and it was so prohibitive to go, and also it was sold out the whole time because parents were like, there's no other theatrical opportunities for this. So I agree. I am also advocating also for my own employment for these theaters to do more pantos, because the cost entry is $20, $30, $40 to bring your kid to see a really fun show is such a great thing. And then you have these kids who are like, oh, we go to the theater. And then when they grow older, maybe they go see a touring production, and you just build your audience from there. And also we want to build cool kids who love live theater.
Yep.
Yes, that's right.
So, Becky, I bet you have an awful lot of stories of travel, and you've already alluded to how much Leo has been on the go with you. Tell us about that time that you know that you really earned your parenting merit badge, and the shit hit the fan, and you said, oh yeah, I am definitely a mom.
Yes. Well, I guess, and shall I mean, in the merit badge story, shall I be like a little self-aggrandizing of like, yay, I did that?
Oh.
Is it a bit of an actual...
This is a safe space for you to be as arrogant as you would like. Go.
Great. Because I was literally like, when you said shit hit the fan, I was like, well, I mean, there's like literally shit hitting the fan every day.
We love those.
Because Leo keeps holding his poop at school, but that's another story.
Fantastic.
But no,
fantastic. He wants to save it for you. Yeah.
He literally will save it he'll save it until it comes out. But like literally, I always say, first of all, with George, I'll do one quick story about each boy. But I feel like with George, anybody that has blended families or comes into children's lives, I always feel really, really good about the relationship I have with George's mom and now stepfather, and like the relationships I feel like I cultivated among the four of us. And I feel like I was really an advocate of, hey, whatever is great for George, let's keep conversations going. His mom is obviously primary and Chris is primary, but like stepdad and I are like here to support, and like, what do you need? And so that dynamic, and George is 18 and like, outside of now and then prioritizing girls over schoolwork, he is like killing it, and he's an exceptional human being. And I like to think that I had a chunk of a piece of doing that, of making sure that he remained the priority throughout like building a blended family across the seas. So that's my George story. And then with Leo, I don't know what year it was, maybe kindergarten, maybe first, but I did start to see, kids saying things like, oh, Leo doesn't respond when I ask him, or, I think one kid one year said to me, like, isn't he a little weird? And I was like, aren't we all weird? And like attacked the kid. But what I started to realize is that if you really make things that might be flagged up, or like the way you walk or whatever, if you make unique things about each other special and like our superhero capes, that then it really makes everybody feel proud about themselves or recognize where they're a little bit different. And so I started doing this talk back at each class at the top of the year. And I would say to the kiddos, I wouldn't like highlight Leo or make him more like this is about Leo being special today. But I would just come in and I'd say, hey, I'm an artist and I just wanted to talk to the class today and say, Leo might do things this way or that way, but like that's his superhero cape, because maybe sometimes he's not listening to you, but if you scratch a nail on a piece of glass, he'll tell you what note that is. And I bet some people can't do that because he has perfect pitch. So then I have the other kids say, like, what's your special thing? What do you do that you don't see other kids doing? And it will be as simple as I like to, or as difficult as I like to wash my hands a million times today. Or I like to ride horses and nobody else does that in class. Or my brother doesn't play soccer, but I do. Or I love cooking and my mom doesn't, or whatever. Like you notice the kids saying the simplest stories and some that are a little bit more, they're real isms. And it just makes every kid have a little more tolerance, a little more patience, and a little more love for what's different. And then I watch them kind of big sister, big brother, Leo, when like his balance is off and they're like, ooh, let me help him up the stairs or whatever, his little things that are different. So I feel like my merit badge is not making excuses for Leo, but giving grace and space in his community for differences.
That story was so beautiful and absolutely a higher standard of advice and parenting than we ever have offered here at Gaytriarchs. So I suppose you've still demeaned yourself by being on our stupid little podcast, but thank you for doing so. That was excellent, Becky. Thank you.
And please, everyone, go find a Lythgoe Family Productions show and buy all the tickets and go see your first panto.
And license their shows and produce it yourself so that we can have it coast to coast, north to south. Thank you, Becky.
Thank you. 10% going to GaytriarchsPodcast.
Yes, direct.
So my something great is, while my son was skiing with another family this weekend, I was skiing with another friend. And it was just the two of us. I pounded so many beers throughout the day.
Oh, okay.
Because I was like...
Sorry, I didn't know where that was going. You could have said lots of things. You could have pounded a twink and then a couple of beers. I don't know. Right?
No, it was very G-rated and straight. But it was so great to have an entire day without my children and just kind of feel like I was in college again. And it was awesome. And so I got to go skiing on my own. So everybody out there, don't forget, it is important to have time away from your kids, even if during that time you're just worrying about whether or not they're driving around in Alan Cummings' car and skiing and pounding beers on the way. But
and twinks.
Time away from the kids is important. And twinks.
Yes, that is amazing. Another time, my something great is it is so springy right now outside. And listen, we all know I'm a fall girl. I am a fall girl through and through.
PSL.
I want PSL. I want browns. I want yellows. I want oranges. I want spicy. I want the fall experience. And my second favorite season is winter. I do love winter. However, us here in the Northeast, we have had such a harsh winter. We had 6 feet of snow in our front yard.
And it was a real winter, though, too. Literally, it was a real winter.
It was a real winter. We haven't had one of those in a long time. And randomly, and this always happens in March, it went from 20 degrees like 3 days ago. It is currently 73 degrees outside.
It's 73? Wow. I mean, I'm in my office right now with the door open and I'm not wearing a sweatshirt. It's awesome, but I didn't realize it was 73.
But what I love about when this happens in New York City, and you only know this if you live in this area because it always does this. What happens is you're freezing, and then one day it's like it's summer. The whole fucking city goes feral. Everyone puts on tank tops. Everyone is having brunch. Everyone is walking their dogs in the park.
It's all about brunch.
Everyone goes feral, including myself. I went to the West Village yesterday because I was working, and I wore the sluttiest short shorts. It's been amazing. So my something great this week, even though it is my third favorite season, is spring is here. And that is our show. If you have any comments, suggestions, or general compliments, you can email us at GaytriarchsPodcast@gmail.com.
Or you can DM us on Instagram. We are at GaytriarchsPodcast. On the internet, David is at DavidFM Vaughn everywhere, and Gavin is at Gavin Lodge in a Subaru.
Please leave us a glowing 5-star review wherever you get your podcasts.
Thanks, and we'll pound beers with you next time on another episode of Gaytriarchs.